So it's been an interesting week in comics, and this story's been floating around now for a couple of days, but it's the first time I really sort of done the deep dive into this and take a closer look at what's going on. But Dan Didio, who's known for his time at DC Comics publisher Dan Didio, he explains why he believes that woke ideology is rampant in comics. So Dan Didio, if you haven't known, has come under fire quite a bit for appearing on the John Della Rose YouTube show. And because of that, his former colleagues now have basically placed Dan's head in a guillotine because he, quote unquote, talked to the enemy. So let's go ahead and find out what's going on here. Former DC Comics publisher Dan Didio recently shared his thoughts on why he believes that woke ideology is rampant within the comic book industry, particularly at DC and Marvel Comics. Speaking with Bounding into Comics contributor John Della Rose on his YouTube channel, and this is why Dan is under fire, because you're not supposed to talk to people. Didio broached the subject while promoting his series Ancient Enemies. And there it is, the live interview. We might have to actually watch that a little later. Maybe we can do an EFAP on that. Who knows? But Didio stated, I used to use an expression that I put. I used to say that corporations don't have values. Corporations have profits. So, the only time they have values is when they think they're going to add to their profits. Fair enough, right? Any business, if it's a decent business, is in the business of making money. That's what business is. If your business is not profitable, then I don't know what to tell you. He goes on to say, so when people start to talk about what a company stands for money, period. End of story. I agree. That's all they'll ever do. If you think anything more than that, then you're misguided. Yeah, companies don't have morals. People have morals, okay? Companies are entities designed to take your hard-earned money away from you. They present themselves differently, he elaborated. Referring to the story of Ancient Enemies, he said, what I like to do is pull back that veneer just to make that when we see people inside the company while they're talking quality amongst themselves, they understand exactly what their purpose is, even if no one else is seeing them for something else. So that's a long run-on sentence. Let's start with that. So what he likes to do is pull back to the veneer, just to make that that wording is wrong. Just to make that when we see the people inside the, I can't even read that, guys. Move on. John Della Rose will follow up on the deal's comments, asking, well, there's a lot of hoopla about that, and there's so much political culture war crap going on in comics now, too, with finger pointing and all. Do you attribute most of that on a corporate level then to the incompetence when stuff starts to slide in that direction? Like, is it not intentional, or is it just a few people with really loud voices and they get all the attention? It's a good question. How much is this is directed by the corporation? How much of this is determined by shareholders and stockholders and the ESG, I believe is what they call it? Or how much of this is just, you got a few people within your company who are activists, right? The deal responded, I think that a few people loud, I think is a few loud people. The writing in this is all wrong. And that people chasing something they don't know. The one thing that you'll find out in the corporate world very quickly is that most of the people that work and produce things don't even know anything about what they produce. Hands on. Look, when John was at the San Diego Comic-Con panel for Star Trek, they had 3 writers on there making Star Trek comics who never watched the show. How does that happen? They're not consumers of their own product. This is correct. It's like a lot of wrestlers don't watch WWE Raw. So where do they get that information on how their product is succeeding or failing? Question mark. They go online now. They're pulling information from these websites and conversations, he answered in his own rhetorical question. So what you now have is them picking up the most extreme points of view and ultimately aligning with which they want to believe the most. And then using that sense to basically validate the choices they are making inside the product, whether it needs it or not. So basically what he's saying is you're going to go online, you're going to group up in this like sort of mob mentality tribal aspect of it. You are going to believe the stuff that makes most sense to you, and then you are going to push that stuff onto others. He concluded, you ask how things are made. That's how things are made. And usually about 20 people in the room are making that agreement, by the way. Later during a question and answer portion, where viewers sent in super chats, Didio was asked, Dan, do you think there's a chance that our beloved characters like Batman, Superman will be saved from the progressive left who have taken over? He briefly answered, look at the cycle of characters, look at the world, and where we have been over the years. Look how many times the characters has changed and moved on. What do you make of Didio's explanation why woke ideology, quote unquote, is rampant at DC and Marvel? Do you agree with this assertion? Yeah, I do. I agree, and even though this is kind of, maybe that's just the way he said things or the way it was written, but I agree that corporations like a Disney or like a Warner Brothers certainly have a public image, if you will, that they want to portray. And right now, they believe that that public image must follow the views of the progressive left. Okay, to not do that, and trust me, I know because I found out. To not do that, you will be labeled a Nazi, you will be labeled a fascist, and you will essentially be vilified, and if they can, cancel you out of life itself. It's just the way it is. I know I have experience in this matter. I think that this story is going to be far from over. I think Didio is only starting to experience basically his cancellation in comics just for simply speaking to someone that his peers did not want him to speak to, right? I mean, get mad at Eric Larson then. He came on this show twice. He came on John Della Rosa's show. What is wrong? And I pose this question to anyone who opposes me on this. What is wrong with two people having an actual conversation about issues in this world? What is wrong with that? And I don't mean a shout fest or a bitch fest or attacking people with online mobs on Twitter. I'm talking about sitting down with someone and having a conversation like the way you would have a friend who slightly disagrees with you on a subject. It is the same thing. There's nothing wrong with this. This man's life should not be canceled by a woke mob by any stretch of the means, nor, should the people on the right give John a hard time for having him on the show to begin with. It is what it is. And the problem is, and I explained this when I did my sort of Heather Antos live stream, is that we've forgotten how to agree to disagree. Everyone has this mentality of it's my way or the highway, and that if you don't even think like me on every single, subject, like immigration, like abortion, okay, like pronoun use, etc., etc., if you don't agree with me on all those things, you deserve death. Guys, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're at 820 subscribers at the time recording this video. We'd like to get to 1,000 before Christmas. Help make it happen, please. That'd be great. That'd be a great Christmas gift from all of you to make that happen. Go ahead and like the video and comment on what you think Dan Didio did or didn't do. Why is his head in the guillotine? I want to know. We'll talk real soon. Peace.